welcome to another episode of the Creative Breakthrough. I am your host, Shereen Kassam, aka the Funny Brown Girl. Hey, if you're tuning in on YouTube, you should be so happy I washed my hair and did it for y'all. So thank you for motivating me to go do my hair and actually wash it. I don't know how many days it's been, y'all. We are in the middle of COVID-19, aka coronavirus. We are in week 5 here in Florida. That we have been on lockdown, though we reopened the beaches again, which I have not been to, nor do I plan on going to the beach because I still think that we should be on lockdown and in our houses. But hey, who am I to say, because I am not a governor of a state. So anyways, this is also my first week of being officially on furlough from Disney. If you don't know what furlough means, I didn't either. I think it's a word they made up for this whole COVID-19 thing. But furlough means basically is being unemployed on steroids. So it means my job is still there at Disney. So after this whole COVID-19 thing is over and we go back to work, my job is still there. So I'm not out of a job. But I'm not getting paid right now. But I do have health care benefits. And if you live in the United States, you know that's huge because that's a big chunk of money. So like all in all, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but there is that sense of like dread or fear, like will we ever be normal again? Will we ever open the parks again? Will we ever go back to work? And so it's been an interesting couple days. It's Wednesday, so I've been on furlough for 3 days. And it's funny because like my therapist was talking to me about this and she was like, it's so important to continue being on a schedule. Like even though you have nowhere to be or nowhere to go, you need to stay on a schedule because you'll quickly fall into this like trap of maybe depression or just being bored or not being productive. And so I've been really, really trying hard to stay on that schedule. I mean, I don't wake up at 6:30 in the morning anymore. Like that's not happening. I'm usually up by 10 a.m. and then I set myself up to do 3 to 4 things a day. Like these are the tasks that I need to get done today. So it's been really good so far. I mean, I've been trying to work out more, stay healthy, eat healthy. The washing my hair thing has kind of fallen by the wayside. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm doing okay. And I just want to let you guys know that I know it's a tough place to be if you are unemployed right now, if you are furloughed. I mean, there is that stress right now, obviously, about how do you pay bills, how do you make money, how do you survive. And it's really hard for me because I had told myself that at the end of this year, by September, I wanted to move to New York or LA. And I was like, I'm going to have all this savings that I'm accumulating. And now I don't have any savings coming in, but I'm already going through my savings, if that makes sense. So I'm in a position where I'm kind of like unsure about how that's all going to play out. And sure, we get unemployment here in the United States, but they are so backlogged because there's been so many claims of unemployment. I want to say we're at 20 million cases of unemployment, but I could be wrong. But I mean, Disney laid off over 100,000 people this week. So the systems are just backlogged and people aren't getting the money fast enough. So it is a scary time. And I want to get into that more before we jump into unemployment and COVID-19. I want to say thank you to all of you who have joined the Facebook group. I love the conversations that are happening in there right now, the support that people are giving. If you have not yet joined the Facebook community, there are 2 easy ways to do it. One, you can go to facebook.com and type in Creative Breakthrough Community, and it should pop up. Or you can go to funnybrown.com/Facebook. I've been sharing resources on there. There's so many free resources out there right now to take free classes and free webinars, to view things, to learn things. There's just so much out there. And then there's this whole community of people who want to teach and learn and be part of the journey. So totally worth getting into and tapping into that. Also, join my newsletter every week. I'm sending out a newsletter with new opportunities and new articles that are really interesting for creatives, things that I'm not particularly putting on the Facebook group. I'm trying to keep them kind of separate. So join the email list as well. And you can do that at funnybrownGirl.com/subscribe. Okay. So back to unemployment and furlough. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I have a job right now. So like, is this really relevant to me? I think it is still relevant because COVID-19 isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And so the world is going to continue to change. And what I want to talk to you about today is what was really interesting is that when they made the phone calls at Disney to tell people they were furloughed, there was 3 types of responses. And none of these responses are bad, but I'm using them as an example. So like there's 3 types of responses. There was the response from a certain group of people who were really upset, who were really angry, who were really anxious about what was happening, right? I mean, Disney is a company that people build their lives around. People have been working there for 10, 15, 20, 50 years. Like they've given their lives to this company. And this company defines who they are. And so for them, when they got furloughed, it really hurt them. It really made them kind of angry. Like, why would Disney furlough me? I've given my whole life to them. I'm anxious now. I'm worried. I'm scared. Like, what's going to happen? Totally valid feelings. And so there's that first type of people who really have a hard time understanding what's happening. And for some of them, it's probably the first time they've ever been laid off or they've ever been furloughed. And so this is a hard time for them to kind of process. And when you take being furloughed alongside what's happening with COVID-19, and then if you have family members who are sick and getting COVID-19, or you have your kids at home, and there's just so much happening that this is just something else to add to the fire. And maybe you don't know how to deal with it all. You don't know how to prioritize it all. You don't know how to work through it. And that's totally, totally, totally normal. And then you've got the second group of people who were okay with being furloughed, who understood the business decision behind it, who understood why it needed to happen. But their biggest fear, their biggest anxiety was, oh my God, I'm going to be so bored. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to spend my days? I'm going to have to learn TikTok, and I'm going to be watching YouTube videos. And good thing I have Disney Plus, because now I can binge watch Disney Plus. And so their biggest fear is just boredom, which mind boggles me, because nobody should ever be bored. I would hope that anybody listening to this podcast can promise me that you are never bored, because if you are a creative, like, you should always be looking for ways to improve yourself, to keep creating, to read a book, to write. And I'm not saying, and I'm using boredom as like literally I'm bored, not I'm taking a day of rest, or I'm taking a mental health day, or I'm just going to relax today. Those are two separate things. And then the third type of person who reacted to the news was someone like me, who was like, okay, well, good thing I have all these other things that I'm going to go work on, because this is the perfect time to go work on my podcast, to go work on my comedy, to go write a book, to go write a one-person show. And that's why I think it's so important to have a creative outlet. That's why this podcast exists, is because if you're listening to this podcast, you have a flame inside of you. You have a creative passion, a creative pursuit inside of you. And maybe you haven't taken the steps to go make it happen, to make it fruitful, to bring life to it, right? To breathe air into it. I don't know what the phrase is that I'm looking for right now. There's a metaphor, but maybe you haven't brought it to life, or maybe you have. And that's why, this is the perfect time to go and invest your time and energy into that, because that's a great way to release fear, release anxiety, release that anxiousness that you might be holding into you. And so I'm so lucky. Like, when my manager called me and told me I was furloughed, I was like, at first it was interesting, because I had prepared for it. One, I kind of knew it was going to happen, but then, and I won't lie, I did get a little emotional, because there is that fear of, will I be employed ever again, or will I stay unemployed? Like, will I ever get my job back? I don't know. And that's the fear of the unknowns. But I talked about this 2 weeks ago, where as a person, my career doesn't define me. As a person, I've got 5 things that defined me at the beginning of 2020. And that was my podcast, which is this, comedy, a loving relationship, my job, and my online business. And unfortunately, at the beginning of 2020, I lost one of those, so I was down to 4, and now I've lost another one, so I'm down to 3. But 3 things that still define me is enough to keep me sane. It's enough to say, I still have a purpose in this world. And 2 of those things out of the 3 are, well, actually all 3, but they're all creative passions. They're all creative pursuits. I mean, comedy, even though all the comedy clubs are shut down, even though there's nowhere to go perform comedy unless I do a Zoom comedy show, which I tried and didn't like, and please stop asking me, guys, to do another comedy show on Zoom. I just cannot do it. But it doesn't mean I can stop writing. I still can keep writing. I signed up for a writing show class that starts next week, and it's a how to write a one-person show. I've been doing the free Sundance classes. So if you don't know, Sundance is offering their webinars for free, and it was actually really cool. I did the webinar on finding your story, and in the beginning, the instructor says, some of you may be procrastinating writing. Some of you may say, I don't want to write today, I'll write tomorrow. And you keep putting it off and putting it off. And that was me. I kept doing it. And she said, it's because you're scared. You're fearful of what you may discover about yourself. And that hit home because I know that I'm scared about something. I don't know what it is, but like I've been writing every day. And it's funny because every day that I've been writing, it's not necessarily comedy. I've been just writing free flow of like what's been going on in my head and how I'm thinking about COVID and being furloughed and everything else. And I just keep crying when I write, and it's scary because sometimes I don't want to write because I don't want to cry. I'm like, I just had a shower and washed my face. I don't want to get tears on my face again. Like, I don't want to do all that. So I get it, but it was so eye-opening. And for 3 hours, she made us sit there and do these exercises for 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, where we just had to write with the prompts she gave us. And it just made me realize how much I missed writing and like that I had been holding myself back from it. So I highly suggest you go and take these free classes. I mean, there's nothing to lose. If you start it and you don't like it, you can exit out, like no big deal. So I've been doing that. And then I've been working on this podcast. Like the goal with this podcast is to double my listeners. So I'm at X, I want to get to Y, and I've got, I don't know how many months to work on that. And then I've got my online business, which luckily is still doing well. And now I get to work on the creative side of that. Like, how do I restructure the marketing and the creative, and how do I reach people? And so that's really exciting too. And so really at the end of the day, my biggest fear, other than knowing if I'm going to have a job after COVID, is really, will I have enough time? Like, is my furlough going to last long enough for me to have enough time to do all this stuff? And that's where I want you guys to be with your creative passion. I want you to have this inner burning desire inside of you to go start your creative passion or continue your creative passion and be so fulfilled by it that you're worried if you're going to have enough time every day to work on it as much as you want to work on it. Because having that outlet is really going to help you with the stress, the anxiety, better sleep. I mean, it's just going to make you a more well-rounded person. Now, some of you might be thinking, Shereen, and a couple of you emailed me this, so I just want to be clear about something. A couple of you emailed me like, Shereen, I still have my job. I'm still expected to be a mom in the house. My kids are home and I'm supposed to be their teacher. Like, where do you want me to find time to be a creative? And I totally get that. And what I'm saying does not apply to everyone. This is not a one size fits all podcast. This is take what you can out of it. So for example, when COVID started for the first, I think I said I'm in week 5. So the first 4 weeks, I still had a full-time job, but I knew that I needed to keep my structure for my day because I used to commute to work back and forth. So it was 30 minutes to work and about an hour back from work. And then at work, I would take like an hour lunch break. Where was all that time going when I was working from home? That was time that I needed to better use to work on my creative outlets, to work on my comedy and my writing, because I still had to go to work, but now I wasn't commuting. And so it's finding those little pockets of time. But if you are, I mean, a lot of you have your hands full right now. A lot of you have to go and take care of your kids and take care of the house and take care of your job. And I'm not saying that you need to give up all of that and work on your creative passion. What I'm saying though is if you're sitting at home right now and you're like, I am so bored. What is going on? I'm so bored. I don't know what to do. I'm picking my fingernails, like I'm picking my nose. I hope you're not, but like you're just bored. There's no reason to be bored. Right now is the time where you should be working harder than anybody else on your passion, because when we come out of this, that means you'll be 10, 20, 30 times farther ahead than everybody else who was bored. And I was just recently reading a book. It's called The Actor's Life, a survival guide by Jenna Fisher. And if you don't know, Jenna Fisher was on The Office. And by reading, I mean I'm listening to the audio version, because if you live in the United States, you can download this app called Hoopla, and you can link it to your library card, which you can also go online and do right now because libraries are closed. And then you can download audiobooks for free. So I downloaded this book and I've been listening to it. And I'm only on chapter 1, but she says right from the beginning, she says, acting is not just when you feel like it. You got to keep acting even in the off season. And that's what we are in right now. We are in the off season as creatives. We are in the off season. We don't know what's going on. Comedy clubs are shut down. Theaters are shut down. Movie cinemas are shut down. But we can still be creating. And so that's what I really want to push today, is that there's no reason to be bored. To be bored means that you don't want to be successful in your careers, in your creative careers. You're not passionate enough to go be successful in your creative passions. And that's something else that you should look into yourself and think about, like, why am I not passionate about my creative journey? Am I scared? Am I fearful? Is it like the writing thing where I'm scared to start because I'm not sure what's going to happen? Am I scared of failure? Am I scared of imposter syndrome? And that should be your first exercise, is trying to figure out why you're scared. And I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. Like if you want to run some ideas by me, or just have a talk, a chit chat, whatever, hit me up, hi@funnybrown.girl.com. That's my email. Or tweet me, DM me, Facebook me, whatever you want. Let's chat about it. I have plenty of time right now. Like, I'm totally available to talk to you. So that's what I want to leave you with today. So today we're not going to do a new interview, because I really wanted to replay an interview that I did with Tisa Hami. And Tisa Hami was a guest on our show, episode 34. So she was the end of season 1. And Tisa Hami was, and I'm going to read her bio, but I just want to give you some context on why I have her on the show today, or repeating the episode. And it's not the full episode. The full episode is about an hour. I've taken pieces of this episode that I think are relevant. Tisa Hami was looking for a job right before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened, and then there was a recession, and so she wasn't able to find a job for a year. She was unemployed for a year, but in that year she discovered stand-up comedy, and she became a full-time stand-up comedian for 5 years, y'all. She traveled all over the United States, all over the world. She was on The View. She became a household name, guys. And that's because she said, fine, I can't find a job right now. We're in the middle of the recession, but I have this creative outlet. I have this creative passion. And so she went for it, and she made it happen. And so the reason I want to play this episode today is that we can use this time. Just because it's a scary time, just because it's an anxious time, just because it's a fearful time, doesn't mean that we can make the most of it. And that's what I really want to urge you guys to do, is make the most of this time as much as you can. With everything else going on, totally understand everything else going on, but try to find pockets of time to really maximize this time, because we may never get this time again. And so I want you guys all to promise me right now that you will never, not never, I don't want to like be explicit, but you will not be bored, okay? You will continue to try and find ways to stay active, to stay engaged, and to continue your pursuit of your creative passions, and you will not be bored, unless it is a Sunday, or you're feeling burnt out, or you're feeling sick, or you're feeling ill, or you're going through something in your life. And if you do need to talk to someone, if you do want to shoot some ideas by me, if you want to chat, feel like I said, I'm totally open. Contact me, call me. Don't call me, because I'm not going to give you my phone number, because we're on the internet. But email me, and then I'll give you my phone number. Unless you sound shady or sketchy, then maybe not, but we'll see. So anyways, enjoy this episode, and join the Facebook group. Subscribe to the email list. Stay in touch, guys. Stay in touch. It's so important to just stay in touch during this time. Call somebody, talk to somebody. If you need some resources to talk to somebody, some therapy people, I can send you those along too. I won't lie, I'm still seeing my therapist. We chat every week, and it's not because there's anything wrong with me, guys. There's a lot of things wrong with me, but it's not that I'm going through something so big that I need a therapist. It's healthy. It's a healthy way to get through life. Like, sometimes you just need a third party's opinion about stuff. Sometimes you just want to talk to someone who's not a friend or a family member, somebody who's going to give you an outsider's opinion, but who's been trained in this stuff, who understands this stuff, and can tell you, like, what you're going through or what you're thinking about is totally normal, for most of it, maybe 99%. Maybe there's some of you might be thinking things that are not normal, and then you should see a therapist. But I 100% support seeing a therapist. And if you are looking for someone, let me know, and I can help you find someone. Okay, with that, here we go. Tisa Hami.